Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Beacon of Lights podcast for tonight. We're so happy to bring you Kerry Ahrend, and she's here to talk about some fantastic things. But before we get into some stuff, I would like to share with you where I am broadcasting from. It's down in Kyle, Texas, kind of near the Austin area. And Kerry, where are you broadcasting from tonight?
Well, I am in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Awesome. So we've got ourselves a little spread in the South. Let's see if we can bring anyone and everyone globally as much as possible to join us this evening. Because as you can see along the bottom down here, we've got an exciting, wonderful opportunity for many people to know that new opportunities are out there. No matter what negativity we might be feeling or fear or any kind of concern, there really is new opportunities everywhere. And we're really excited to have Kerry bring some of this in for our audience tonight. So if you are here showing up live, I see some great people already popping up. Go ahead and share where you're from. Share this link. Make sure that anyone that you feel, they could use some positivity tonight, share it with them, because it could be a really amazing blessing in disguise for everyone involved. Mm-hmm. Thank you again for commenting. I see people popping up here. This is fantastic. Well, Kerry, let's go ahead and get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, so I am, first and foremost, I'm a project manager. And I've been doing project management for many years in my corporate career. And then for the last, I guess it's going on my 24th year, I've been training project managers all around the world. I've had the opportunity to travel to 22 different countries teaching project management courses to many of the big name companies that you know. So that's been exciting. And then about 12 years ago, when actually a lot of my 5-day classes customers wanted, or clients wanted 3-day classes. And so I had a little bit more time at home, which was actually nice instead of being on the road all the time and living in hotels. And so I started volunteering on Monday mornings at a local job seeker group. And then I started working for a company here locally, a company called Lee Hecht Harrison. And I've been with them for over 12 years now. And so as a career coach, primarily working with corporate clients, big companies. Of course, I live in the Research Triangle Park area of Raleigh, North Carolina, Durham, Chapel Hill. And so clients like Cisco and Novartis and GlaxoSmithKline, Lenovo, IBM, lots of big companies. And so when they lay people off, unfortunately, it happens. Then I go in and help them with things like their resume and how to interview and how to network and so forth. So what I did when I wrote this book, Project Career Quest, this one right here, it's always a challenge to get it in the screen there. When I wrote this book, what I've done really is to meld or mesh my project management experience with my coaching experience, or helping people that are in transition looking for their next career opportunity. And by the way, the subtitle is called Navigating the Journey to New Opportunities Waiting. And the reason why I call it that is because one of the questions when I work with someone who's looking for work, one of the first things when they're brought in to meet with me is they'll look at me and they'll say, now what? And I actually was going to call the book Now What, but I found out somebody else had used that name and I decided it wasn't a good name for me to use. Yeah. So, but I liked the now, and that's how I came up with New Opportunities Waiting, because there are always, even when people think there's no jobs available, there's always opportunities waiting for the right person who networks and does the right things.
Of course, that's exactly how it happens. When you are networking together, that is a big key. And I think maybe a lot of people might be shy or might think of themselves not, I'll say this, worthy of connecting with others. Like, well, who am I? I was just laid off, or I don't know anybody. And really, in the long run, we really do start to learn how to connect with people, So
Sure.
share a little bit about that networking and why it is so, important.
Okay. So 80 to 85% of jobs are found through networking. And networking is critical to finding a job, those new opportunities waiting. It's critical, absolutely important to do that. And I actually just finished 31 days of what I call Job Hunt July, where I did sessions from my book, 30-minute sessions every day. And one day I actually interviewed one of the a guy that is part of Author Academy Elite, is the who published my book, and he's up in Columbus, Ohio, and he's an introvert and I'm an extrovert. I like being around people and so forth. And I run into this all the time where especially introverts say, "Oh, I'm not a good networker. I can't network." And I'm like, one, that's just not true. But two, it's so important, because if you're not networking, you're not finding those great jobs. And April, I don't know if you know this, or if the people that are watching know this, but 70 to 80% of jobs are actually never advertised. So if all you do is go out on something like monster.com or indeed.com or one of those search engines to look for a job, it's likely that the job that you want, that ideal job that you're looking for, isn't there. And they call those jobs the attractive jobs. And those are the jobs that you're only going to find through networking with somebody. Because a lot of companies, and I'll give you an example, companies like Cisco, companies like SAS, which is a big company here in the Raleigh, Kerry, North Carolina area, when they have this really attractive job, you're putting it out on the internet, what happens is they get a landslide of resumes. It's a quantity of resumes, but it's not necessarily the quality of resumes and the quality of candidates that they're looking for. And what companies have found is it's much better to go to their employees and say, "Hey, can you recommend someone for this position?" And if you recommend someone and we hire them and they're here for usually like 6 months or so, then their employees quite often will get a bonus, let's say $1,500 or something like that. But they've found that they get much better candidates that way than if they advertise those attractive jobs.
That is a huge, important thing to know, that if you just open your mouth and recommend somebody, it's going to benefit two people.
Absolutely.
You that might not have the job and those that have the job. What a total motivating experience. That is fantastic. It looks like we've got Gay James here. She says, "This is great information." And I agree. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
So in gathering the information, as you've done, and learning about more and more of the networking, what is another key element that will really help with new opportunities for anyone who's looking for a job?
Well, the most important thing, for example, when I'm working with people, I tell them two things. I want you to put on two different hats here. One, you need to put on a project manager's hat. So I explained to them what a project manager does. And, this is the reason I called it Project Career Quest, because truly when you're out looking for a job, it's a project. Projects have a definite beginning and end. They're goal-oriented. They're unique. And there's a set of interrelated activities. Now, what my book does is it teaches those interrelated activities that are critical to finding those new opportunities waiting. So one, they have to put on their project manager hat so that they have a structured approach to do their job search project or career quest project. And then the second thing that's really, really important for people to know if they're out there looking, and whether they may have been laid off, on the other hand, they may be in a job that's less than fulfilling. So, the audience goes from, people that are not working to also people who are working and not engaged in what they're doing. So, but the second thing that's really, really critical here is that they also need to put on their sales hat. And I usually ask people, how many of you been in sales before? And a lot of times when I'm doing, workshops and people, one or two people put their hands up and I'll say, well, you're in sales now because you are the product, you are the service. And it's just like anything else. You can't sell a product or a service if you don't know that product and service inside out. And the hardest thing for people is when they've lost their job, and they could be some of the most competent people in the world, but when they've lost their job and they've been working, let's say, the same job for the last 10, 15, 20 years, and then you start asking them questions like, what are your core competencies? And they look at me, deer in the headlights, like, I'm not sure what you mean by a core competency. What are your strengths? What are your what value would you bring to an organization? What's your leadership style? I mean, I start asking questions, and people truly look at me with that look like that, and they're like, I don't know. And so, I have one whole chapter in the book about understanding themselves, because it's really fruitless to go out and start looking for a job if you can't answer a whole set of questions, and not only the questions that the hiring managers are going to ask, but there are questions that you should know about yourself, like, what are my core values? What are my interests right now in life? What are my priorities in life? April, you've got children, right? And
Right.
and as your children, when they're younger, your priority is in one area, like you're homeschooling your kids and stuff, like as a lot of parents are doing now. And then you've got people who are on their 40s, 50s, 60s, and their kids are gone. So their priorities are different. But you're going to have to make career decisions during this time. And so there's so many different things to take into consideration, not just the questions that the hiring managers are going to ask, but, what's the corporate culture? What do you want? What's going to fill you up and engage you and so forth. And so we have to know ourselves inside and out to address our questions about ourselves and to address the questions that we're going to get from recruiters and hiring managers and other people that we network with along the way.
Agreed. It's really important to understand that point of self. If like you were talking about, if we've been excused from a job, we've been fired, or we're just not engaged, there is a part of something that, you can call it the starting of depression or other things like that, but you just feel your self-esteem start to shrivel up.
Absolutely.
And I think the key word that you talked about was they stop engaging. When we stop activity, stop engaging, really our brains slow down, mush out, space out. We get hacked really easily, right? We just start to get distracted. And in our distractions, we're not focused anymore. And we tend to aim towards more negativity and more hopelessness. If we're in more hopelessness and negativity, the light that's within us really starts to dim.
Yeah.
So asking these questions about who am I? What do I like? What are my hobbies? That might feel like, oh, that's just on the surface. That doesn't connect with a job. No, really, those skill sets go deep. If you are somebody that really likes to connect and talk to somebody through that emotional level, that is really important. If you are like in PR, right? You need to be able to connect, pull people in, and make the sell. If you are in sales, it's all about emotions. I'm telling you what, right? We have to bring them in, show them the product, and how to, proceed forth. If we are down, not excited about things, and we've forgotten maybe what our skill sets are because we've been in the same kind of monotonous routine, this is a great time for growth. Now, like anything else, growth hurts. You said I have a lot of kids, and I do. So right now I have a 5-year-old who's going through some growth pains every night. Oh, my legs, my knees. He calls them his knee pits. I think that's so
knee pits.
My knee pits. My knee pits hurt, Mom. So we're always rubbing him and stuff. And I tell him, this is how you get tall. And he's like, well, maybe I should just stay short. Well, you don't really have a choice in that. But the opportunity for growth is there, and it does cause a little pain. So you're right. If these things have happened, but once we want to start getting after it, we can feel ourselves, okay, wait, I'm re-engaging again. I'm exercising this brain again and other types of skills. So that is really, really an awesome thing. In that new opportunity, that new growth, when you see somebody that they've been practicing what you've been teaching in the book, and you start to see their skills levels really start to increase, do you give them maybe some, I want to say some possible different options that they might not have been thinking about. So let's say they've been in education for a long time and they've been working in this field and they know all about it, but they've been steeped in it so long, nothing's new anymore. They
Mm-hmm.
want something fresh.
Yeah.
So I'm sure through these questions, you could start to direct them into possibilities that are brand new. What
That's
is that like for you, Kerry, when you see these people take on these new skills and opportunities? What does that fill you with?
Well, I mean, it's exciting to see somebody who thinks that they're limited to what they can do based on their previous experience, and often find that there are, and I'll give you two examples I thought of while you were talking. For example, pharmaceutical companies like to hire a lot of former nurses, okay? Because they like the fact that they have that nursing background. And they typically, pay better, unfortunately, but I mean, not unfortunately for the person going there, but for nurses, often they'll, after a couple of years, maybe they get burned out on nursing and they can go somewhere else because pharmaceutical companies like to hire nurses, right? And there's another example. You're talking about teachers. One of the big companies here in Kerry, North Carolina, it's just sort of a suburb of Raleigh. It's a company called SAS. And if you're in the IT sector, statistical analysis, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a huge company with a great, tremendous reputation. And they like to hire a lot of former teachers to sell their products because a lot of their products they sell to school systems. And so, here it is like a school teacher's thinking, well, what do I do now that I'm not a teacher? But there are companies who sell to schools that could really use their expertise and their knowledge. And so there are lots of opportunities out there, and we just have to kind of look for them. And I don't have all those answers, but what I try to do is encourage them to network, to brainstorm with other people, to go to a local job seeker group, because you'll be amazed. One of the things I remember when I first started doing this, I would hear this frequently, like, why do I want to go to a job seeker group with other unemployed people when I'm unemployed? And I said, well, one, because they're sort of your best allies. Some of them have been looking longer than you, so they can kind of, flatten the curve for you a little bit. They can help you get there faster. They can tell you places to go to get benefits and training and that type of stuff. But they also will have ideas for you that you haven't thought of. And so, it's just during this time, I tell people to make sure that you don't try to go on this journey alone. This is a journey that you need to develop a team. And again, in project management, and project managers have teams of people. And who's your dream team? I mean, who do you need on your team? And so it might be a coach, it might be a facilitator at a job seeker group, but it also might be other job seekers who can really help you, brainstorm those opportunities that you would totally not have thought of.
Agreed. The teamwork aspect is really an important part. And I think many of us, when we are working in teams, there's kind of a two-part maybe experience where they've had teamwork with those that you're the only person that's working as the team watches you. And then you've got those teamworks where they really gel together, they get the information going, and they think, wow, I know so-and-so and I know so-and-so. It's so often I see it on social media with the group that we're connected with a lot of other authors. Someone might think, oh, I wrote a book about this. Well, I can offer that opportunity with more information and more language and more, we'll say similar topics. And when they connect together, it's like magic happens because they're in the similar area. They have stories that really can touch or activities that can really meet forward. And so it is an incredible opportunity. Now, Kerry,
Yes.
With all the things that are going on in your book, hold it up there again, because I think the cover is really great. It's very clean. You can see it right there.
Can you see it?
You got it.
It's really challenging. I don't know what it is that it's hard to get in this.
Yeah, it's a mirrored image, so it's like, wait, where am I?
By the way, I can tell you what quest means if you want it.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is really cool. So the Q means questioning, and I've already talked about questioning. These are the questions that, as the job seeker, that you need to ask about yourself, and the questions that job seekers will have, like, how do I find a job? Who's hiring? What do I need on my resume? Those types of things. And then, of course, the questions that the hiring managers and recruiters will have, right? So that's the Q. The U is all about understanding yourself. And I talked about that. Chapter 6 in this book is about, knowing who you are, your core competencies, your strengths, your abilities, your interests, your hobbies, those types of things, your gifts, your talents. And E is about exploring opportunities and options. What options do I have? I've been a school teacher for 20 years. What options do I have? So those opportunities and options, we explore those. S is for that structured approach, that project management approach. That I use throughout the book. And then the T actually has a dual meaning. It could be transitioning from, let's say I'm an IT project manager and I got another job as an IT project manager. So it's a pretty smooth transition there, just to a different company. But it can also mean transforming. So it could be a total transformation where someone has gone from being a nurse to doing something completely different, or a teacher to doing something completely different, or a corporate employee to becoming an entrepreneur and starting your own business. So a total transformation during this discovery process.
I love it. In the discovery, it takes action, right? All action really puts forward a lot of faith. It puts forward, like, I don't have the answers, but I'm going to give this a try. And it's that little tiny wave or wiggle of fear of just stepping over the threshold, or just pushing send on the computer, or whatever it is, but you've got that tiny little bit of fear. And when they actually execute, take the action and go forward, a lot of the times they have this look of like, oh, I'm still alive. I'm okay. So yeah. Kind of humor me here for a bit. This will share my age a little bit, but in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the third one, where they're on the quest for the golden rail, is that, or rod, or the golden cup, right? They're on the quest, right? Yeah. And they're searching for it. Well, as he goes to Indiana Jones is like, all right, I got to take this leap of faith, right? And he steps out into just this vast nothingness, and there's a bridge there that catches him, and he's like, the relief on his face, that's the image I have right before I'm going to do something that kind of makes me a little nervous. I'm like, okay, and the shock and surprise is there is a soft place to land. Things work out. And when he gets to the other end, I love how he picks up the cloud of dust and throws it back there so you can kind of see where the bridge was. I'm like, that's smart. That's important. The whole concept is, if we exercise a little bit of faith with the action taken involved, they're taking in the involvement that can come from that is a whole new career, a whole new opportunity. And so with a lot of the people who I serve, many of them have left a place of real darkness, of abuse, of real challenges. And unfortunately, a lot of the abuse is financial, where it's withheld, or it's oppressed from they're not able to even understand how to manage the money, or they just never had it, or with any kind of control. So now they find themselves having to really make a viable choice to find work that can actually sustain them. In my transition of everything, I fought for this probably for 8 of the 9 years I was there with the abuse. Was who would hire me? I can't work. I'm a mom of 5 kids. They have special needs. Like, I could list everything that why wasn't going to work. Everything. And then finally, in that last year, I just started to say, well, what if I start to say it will work? What if I start to say that? And sure enough, opportunities opened. One became a teaching position where I didn't have my teaching certification, but the program allowed you to start teaching as long as you were involved in a master's program. And I was like, 2-for-1 deal, I'm in. Once I was able to obtain that, the opportunities for training, for more understanding of everything of how it all worked was right there. And I took advantage of every single opportunity. So it's all, I can testify that this is a great thing because it changed our life. It moved us from that poverty into a place where we could actually provide, and then the safety issue just came full forward because we could do it. So
Yeah.
you're giving people real hope that things can change no matter what is happening in the outside world. We really can pull ahead and move forward. That's
Well,
fantastic.
in April, the first 3 chapters of my book actually deal with the emotional aspects, the challenges, the obstacles. I call them the potholes or roadblocks and the gremlins. The gremlins are all those negative voices that we hear. And most of those, sometimes it comes from friends and family members saying, oh, you can't do this. You've never done it. But most of those negative voices come from ourselves, and kind of what you experience. And that's why I start off with that, because before someone can get into okay, let me start trying to find a job. And some people may be there, mentally, emotionally, and so forth. But a lot of people, when they've lost their job, or in your case, if they're women who are escaping abusive situations, and now they're trying to find a job, it's all that negative self-talk, all that self-doubt and everything. And so that's why I actually address that in the first 3 chapters of the book. To help people, and one of the examples I give in there is actually from the Bible. I give the story of David and Goliath. When David went to fight Goliath and said, I can do that. I can take down the giant and win the, control of the valley there. And, everybody's saying, David, you can't do that. You're just a kid and look how little you are, how short you are, and that kind of stuff. And, but David, he had confidence in himself and he said, no, I can do it, and King Saul was going to put all this armor on him and everything. And he's like, no, I don't need it. I just need my slingshot and give me 5 pebbles. And, and he had confidence in there. But so it wasn't his negative voices, but there were a lot of people around him, not necessarily to be negative to him, but really more protect him, thinking, oh my gosh, you're going to get killed by that giant and we don't want you to get hurt. And that's really part of what we run into when you're out there looking for a job. It may be from other people who mean well, but so we have to slay a lot of giants along the way.
That is right. I think it's really fantastic that you're talking about something that's really bold, because the protection of others, or when they worry and have so much concern, sometimes that becomes a hindrance in and of itself, where it intended not to be. The intentions were not that for that. However, it stops you from your progress. You have to be able to climb over almost any hill, mountain, rock, stone, pebble, and keep going. Every day we take a risk. The moment you step out of your bed, you can take a risk of falling. The moment you walk up the stairs, you could take a risk of tumbling back down the stairs. The moment you get in your car, how much of the risk of death increases right there, right? Mm-hmm. Everything has some type of risk to it, but you can't live in fear.
No.
You can't do that. You have to be brave and move forward and move ahead, for sure.
Right. That's right.
Excellent. All right. Well, we've got limited time here left, so show us up that book. And I wanted to just announce to everyone that Kerry, she had the opportunity through this whole first half of the year to collect votes for the Author Academy Awards. Unfortunately, the voting time has passed, and now we're all waiting to hear if she will get that nomination. We'll find that out in August the 25th. And tell us what category your book is in.
I'm in the advice category. Obviously, it's job search advice, right? So that made the best sense.
I agree with that. So we're going to look and hope that she has collected enough votes to see if she gets that top 10 nomination, and then move on to another opportunity to possibly win an award. So Congratulations on all of your hard work. This is a fantastic book, great information for everyone tonight. Thank you for all that have joined in. And tonight we have a free copy of Pinpoints of Light to give away for anyone who was commenting tonight and showing up live. We're really happy that you're here. At the bottom, when we close this out, in the comments, we will put Kerry's website. I was going to say 4 things at once. Kerry's website, and ways to connect with her, where people can purchase her book. And if you know of somebody who is out of work, who needs a boost, this is something that could really make a huge difference. We're coming into this end of summer, fall time, and soon we know that the holidays are going to be upon us. And what a better way than to help somebody, obtain a job again and really be able to provide for their family again in such a wonderful time of the year. So
Well, can I
thank
just
you, everybody.
can I
Yes.
just because this book is not just for job seekers. Obviously, it's for job seekers. It's a great book if you've got a college student getting ready to graduate or is already graduated and is out there struggling to find a job. It is great for anyone who's in a job and, again, not fully engaged. But the other thing is, if you're aware of any organizations that might be laying people off or and need to, this is a great book for those as well, and also for professional organizations, because most people, when they lose a job, a lot of people, for example, like project managers, will join a professional organization like the Project Management Institute. And when I've gone to their meetings, probably half the people there are employed and half are unemployed. So lots of different opportunities. So if you think of those, let me know, and send them to my website at kerryahrend.com. So and that's it, I guess.
Okay, awesome. I think that's fantastic. Just if anyone hears all the noise in the background, my deaf daughter's singing. She's singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" because she's got her whole garb on. So it's entertaining.
Yeah, I couldn't tell whether it was a dog or what, because I have 3 dogs here and they've been quiet, so I never know. It was either going to be her kids or my dogs, right?
Looks like my kids won tonight. Thank you, everybody.
We're all home.
We're all home. Thank you, everyone, and we'll put on all those links down there at the bottom, and enjoy your evening. We'll see you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you, April. Bye-bye.